What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Blake's Take with me, Blake Neiman. And we are witnessing the greatest what-if story in NBA history unfold right before our very eyes. On January 14th, 2021, James Harden was traded to the Brooklyn Nets, completing what many thought would be an unstoppable trio of Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and of course, Harden himself. We were talking about three of the most skilled offensive players in NBA history all on the same team, fooling many of us into thinking that they would go on to form a dynasty in Brooklyn. Little did we know, at the time, all that would occur after that trade was made. Injuries would bombard the trio, limiting them to just 13 regular season games together, and ultimately having them fall in the second round of the NBA playoffs after almost being inches away from the conference finals, with Kevin Durant's foot just touching the three-point line. The following season, New York City placed a vaccine mandate for all employees. Kyrie Irving, not being an exception, refused to get the vaccine, resulting in a puzzling situation in which the Brooklyn Nets were playing the wait game in hopes that Kyrie would return to the team eventually. During this time frame, Kevin Durant suffered a nagging hamstring injury that would set him back for more than half of the regular season, leaving James Harden, who came to Brooklyn in hopes of being released of the pressure that he was always having to being the guy back that he was in the same position that he was in Houston, trying to will his team to victory night in and night out. As you might have expected, Harden wasn't going to play this game for too long, and so just like he forced his way out of Houston, he forced his way out of Brooklyn, being traded to Philadelphia in return for Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and 2 first-round draft picks. After Harden left the Nets, the vaccine mandate was eventually lifted, allowing Kyrie to play with the team full-time, and Kevin Durant had fully recovered from his hamstring injury. But once again, due to the lack of time of playing with one another and a new supporting cast around them, the Nets were unable to find success in the postseason, getting swept in the first round by the Boston Celtics, who eventually would go on to win the Eastern Conference and push the Golden State Warriors to 6 games in the NBA Finals. The Nets were the only team in this year's playoffs to not win a single game, resulting in a very disappointing end to the season considering they were the championship favorites coming into it. So now we get to the just last week when Kyrie Irving had a decision to make as whether to opt in or opt out of his $36.5 million player option for this upcoming season. Later we found out that Kyrie chose to opt in to the since Brooklyn was not willing to give him a long-term contract that he so desired. Since Kyrie was not able to have a long-term deal, he expressed that he no longer wanted to be in Brooklyn, leading to his teammate Kevin Durant to be right behind him out the door in requesting a trade. This tale of Kevin Durant's following Kyrie Irving is what has ultimately led to this whole disaster in the first place. KD trusted Kyrie and thus left the Warriors, the reigning NBA champions and 2-time NBA champions, while he was there for Brooklyn, where him and Kyrie would team up under coach Steve Nash with no experience in hopes that their talent would be enough in itself to will them to a championship. Well, obviously it wasn't enough, as Kyrie was unreliable the moment they landed in Brooklyn due to an array of reasons, leaving Kevin Durant to clean up the mess. Now the mess is being left for the Nets front office to be cleaned up, who has lost out on millions of dollars with no championship, let alone a conference finals, to show for it. It is catastrophic how this has all gone down, and I can't believe that after all the Nets went through and the potential this team had, they are tearing it all down with nothing to show for their efforts. We will now wait and see what the Nets will do from here, whether they are going to play hardball and keep Kyrie and KD into the season, or try and find optimal trade packages as quickly as possible. Such a strange thing that is occurring here in Brooklyn. I can't believe that the championship team, that caliber team that we saw with Harden, Kyrie, and KD was never able to get the job done, and now it's all being torn down with KD and Kyrie now wanting out. Just once again reiterating the greatest what if in NBA history. 3 of the most unstoppable offensive players not able to win a single championship, let alone get to the conference finals in their time together. Just a really wild, crazy story in Brooklyn, and now it's all coming to an end. So you can keep up on all that goes down and where Kyrie and KD end up landing here on Blake's Take on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and or YouTube. Subscribe and like to stay up to date, and I will see you all in the next one. Have a great day.